What's good, y'all? It's your boy Tony the Savant. Excuse me, I'm losing the voice. It's kind of ridiculous, but we pushing through. We got the T. We got the T. Shout out to the BCE, the SEE, my boy Mello, that's the prez. Shout out to my boy Jeezy, that's the manager. Shout out to my cousin Hawk, been supporting since day one. I love that, and I love you, G. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, man. We all seen it. We all seen it, man. I'm not gonna lie, y'all know I'm an Errol Spence fan, so I'm gonna tell him to hold my L like a man. I did doubt Bud Crawford. I'm not gonna say even doubt. I knew what Bud was capable of, and I like to say that in the past when I was doing my reviews or my predictions on this fight, I think I was fair. I assessed it correctly because Bud is not. Bud ain't no lightweight, man. You know, he definitely is not a lightweight. He definitely showed last night that he's one of the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? I always knew that he was a great fighter, especially in this era. But I think if you match up Bud with Floyd, Pacquiao, Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, you can take anybody, Marvin Hagler, you could take anybody out of the great welterweights, and you could match Bud Crawford against him, and I say that'd be a good fight. You know, I probably wouldn't have said that 24 hours ago, to be honest. So, shout out to the Terence Bud Crawford. He definitely did his thing. He definitely stamped himself as one of the greats. If you didn't know, if you're just now, you know, really tuning in and getting the news, Terence Bud Crawford won the epic matchup last night between him and Errol Spence Jr. He stopped Errol in the 9th round, dropped him like 3 times. He dropped him 3 times, and that's not one of those drops. Wasn't even the ones that ended the fight, y'all. That's how one-sided. You know, it's funny. I was looking at some of the videos before, you know, leading up to the fight, and Errol Spence just kept saying it's gonna be a one-sided, you know, butt whooping. It's gonna be lopsided and all that stuff. So Errol Spence was right. He predicted it just right. He just didn't predict it the right winner per se. So. But all in all, my assessment of the fight, I didn't get to see the first. Well, I seen the first few rounds, but live, I didn't see the first 3 rounds. I think 2 or 3 rounds. I think I just had pulled up during the 3rd round. Around here doing the dad life stuff, y'all know me. Anyway, so by the 3rd round, I really couldn't tell what was going on. I mean, they was kind of still going back and forth. But boy, oh boy, oh boy. By the 4th round, it was the fight had been decided, man. You know what I mean? I didn't see that first knockdown, so I'll be honest. The first knockdown in the 2nd round, towards the end of the 2nd round, when Terence Bud Crawford hit Errol with the two-piece combo to put him down, I didn't see that. So it had to be the 3rd round. And by the 4th round, guys, you know what I mean? I was there from bell to bell. The fight had I could tell the fight had been decided. You know what I mean? What by the time I got there, just the 4th round alone, I could tell that Errol Spence was just being outclassed. You know what I mean? Terence Bud Crawford was just showing that there's levels to this, and that all these years he's been telling us he's one of the greats. It's a fact. You know what I mean? It's the truth. Terence wasn't just talking the talk. He's very capable of these big fights, and I think, you know, it was kind of, to be honest too, I think it was just kind of I don't even know the word to call it. I don't know what to call it, because leading up to this fight, Errol had fought the better opponents on the better days. You know, we all seen Terence Bud Crawford's last fight against David Abinadjan. I didn't see anything in that fight that said that didn't show me anything I didn't already know. So leading up to this fight, I think we was all kind of, especially Errol Spence fans, you know, I think we was all kind of misled as far as, you know, how lethal Terence Bud Crawford could be. I mean, I know he's faced guys in the past, quote unquote, big names and all that, and champions and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, leading up to the fight again, you know, just looking at resumes and how these individuals were winning their fights, I wouldn't have predicted that the fight last night was going to go how it went down at all. I couldn't have, you know what I mean? I felt like Errol Spence was just had a high level of defense and endurance that he could outlast some Terrence Bud Crawford's unconventional combos. But what happened was that Terrence Bud Crawford just had a counter to a counter to a counter. You know what I mean? Like it's like Errol, we all know him for his high jab. He starts off high, get you a couple jabs and start going to the body. Errol's tried to start off that way, but Terrence was ready. You know what I mean? It's like Terrence had a move for a move. He knew. It's almost as if he knew what Errol was going to do before he even did it. And I'm not accusing. I don't think it was any kind of cheating involved or anything like that. I think that Terence Bud Crawford's preparation was severely doubted. You know what I mean? By a lot of people. Not even just. I think just the common guys, that was mutual. They didn't really understand how prepared this dude was going to come into the fight. I know I definitely didn't. Errol definitely didn't. Terrence Bud Crawford just was masterfully prepared. He to the point where you could tell that he probably watched all of Errol Spence's fights from sun up to sundown. And no matter the fact that, Errol couldn't do anything. Like, Errol was barely touching him. I know they said he hit, I want to say 60 to 70 punches he got on 60. It's about 60 to 80 punches he got on Terrence. You couldn't even tell. You know what I mean? At the end of the fight, you could not tell. It looked like Terence Bud Crawford hadn't been touched. It looked like Terence Bud Crawford hadn't even started sweating yet. And by the time he stopped the fight in the ninth round. There's a lot to dissect in this. There's a lot to dissect in this fight because I just feel like only way Errol Spence, if they're gonna get this rematch going on, we was all aware of the rematch clause. If they're gonna get this rematch going on, Errol Spence has to change his entire style up now, guys. Honestly, I don't see how he can even go back to what he was doing. He's too flat-footed for Bud. He was just too predictable for Bud. And I'm not saying Errol Spence has to box like Muhammad Ali or nothing like that, because even a guy that's not so quote-unquote flat-footed like a Sean Porter, he didn't have anything for Terrence Bud Crawford either. What Errol has to do is just go back to the drawing board, not be so predictable. You know what I mean? I think that was his biggest thing in this fight. We all know that Errol likes to come forward. He likes that jab. He likes to go for the body. And like I said, everything that he was wanting to do, Terence Bud Crawford had a counter in addition to a counter to that counter, just in case Errol figured it out. It's almost like, all right, if Errol is able to get that jab in, this is what I'm going to do. It literally, that's what it seemed like Terence Bud Crawford was doing. But as far as Terence Bud Crawford, where does he go from here? I would love to see him fight Canelo. I'd like to see him fight one of the Jamel Charlo, I think it is. I want to see Bud, go against the best of the best now. He's one of those prize fighters now. And should we get the rematch? Like I say, it's definitely in the contract, so we may get it. Not positive we're going to get it this year, but if we get a rematch, Errol Spence has to go to the drawing board because, man, he got done bad, man. He got done pretty bad. Like I say, I decided I had just pulled up in the middle of the third round, and by the fourth round, I could tell that the fight was over. You know what I mean? I could just tell that Errol Spence couldn't really hit him. He had no defense. The defense that Errol Spence had, it was only, he was defending the first punch, but he had nothing for the next 2 or 3 that would come in as far as, a combination. So, all in all, that's just my take from the fight. Very beautifully done. Like I say, shout out to Terence Bud Crawford, his team. They were very well prepared. And shout out to Errol Spence, you know what I mean? That's still one of my favorite fighters. Even some of the best that's ever laced them up, the gloves, have taken losses and then come back, to do their thing. I was referring to Sugar Ray Robinson versus Sugar Ray Leonard versus Roberto Duran when Sugar Ray took that loss against him. How he came back and he totally dominated that next fight. I say that Errol can do that, but he has to change up the style. You know what I'm saying? From the ground up, you gotta change up the style. So, all in all, y'all, please like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content on this channel. It's your boy Tony the Savant. I'm not a player. I'm not a coach. I'm a savant. Y'all be blessed, man.